long have you been an artist?
Pretty much my whole life. I always was drawn to this, but I didn't start doing it seriously until I was in my early 30s. That's when, so if you want to look at phases, you could say, well, ever since I was a kid. But this phase has been going on since 2013. I read a book. The title of the book was The Happiness of Pursuit, and it had to do with people who had a quest. And so immediately I thought of doing a large number of portraits within a year's time. And then as I considered it more and kind of, it became a little more tangible, I realized, I could do 26 portraits in a year. That would be one every 2 weeks. But who would it be? There needs to be a larger purpose to it. And at the time, a friend of mine was working at Tarrant County Homeless Coalition, and I thought, if I could find an organization to work with where they could identify subjects for portraits, then it could become an exhibit that might raise awareness of the issue of homelessness.
So the Homeless Coalition is a nonprofit. We've been around for about 30 years, and we work to be a catalyst for community change to end homelessness.
Laura Hunt, a local artist, contacted the Homeless Coalition in 2019 with the idea of doing a portrait project of our neighbors who have experienced homelessness or are experiencing homelessness, and wanting to do something to shine a light on the humanity of homelessness.
It's really easy for people to disconnect and kind of say, well, those people over there, those people over there, those people over there. When in reality, their stories are often very, very relatable. The portraits are really based on her conversations with people, how she, I think, perceived them, how she heard their stories. She was very upfront with the fact that she wanted to ask them different things, even as simple as what's your favorite color. She really felt like that should play into how she depicted them in the art.
From the way that she asked questions and got the people's stories, like if you get to come and experience the show, which I think everyone should, and you read the stories, just like small details that she has where she asked their favorite color, and that's like the background of their portrait, and like they're just so human.
Laura Hunt's just so talented in bringing Marty notes the humanity to her subjects, but within the humanity, the light and the joy through her paint and her color work. So much so that I look at her work and the idea of master colorist just really comes to mind. The things that she does with color is nothing short of astounding.
One of the things, I interviewed people before I took their pictures. So in some cases, the interview might have taken 5 to 8 minutes. In some cases, it could have been a 20 or 30-minute interview because of the varying willingness of people to talk.
Some people are very forthcoming about the fact that they experienced this and how it impacted their life. Others, there's still a lot of shame around the issue.
Sometimes it had to do with drugs. Sometimes it had to do with relationships that had broken. One gentleman became homeless because he had been living with his sister, who had to make room for her daughter and son-in-law, who had both lost their jobs due to the pandemic. And so there was not room for all of them. So he graciously chose to move out. Some people had health issues. Someone had, their Social Security checks had gotten lost. Well, if you don't have your income, what do you do?
I wish people knew and understood that homelessness is something that happens to people, not something that defines who they are. Some people may not know that our homeless population is aging, just like the general population is aging. The average age of someone experiencing homelessness in our communities is in their 50s. Often we see people who have done some sort of trade or some sort of manual labor their entire life, and their bodies can no longer can no longer do that job. And so at that point in life, they have not been reskilled. They cannot continue on with that work. People may also need mental health assistance, substance abuse treatment, may need help getting a better job. However, when they have a place to call home, they can achieve those things so much quicker, so much better. They're in a better place when they have that basic need of a place to call home met.
Well, I think with any kind of social issue that we need to find a solution to, over time, I feel like humans, people, nonprofit organizations, government organizations have a tendency to build so much narrative to kind of ease the problem to people's brains, right? So it's easier for us to digest. I think what artists can do is use their license as artists, which is like a key to freedom, to just tell you what it is and show you what it is and what it's about. What's great with this series is that Laura is able to use her paintings as well as the stories and put them together, and it's very 1 + 1 equals this is what the show is about. And so there is no softening of what we're doing. This show is about homelessness. It is what it is. And what Laura Hunt has done is shown something that doesn't just have, it's not just, doesn't have to be something that is thought of as unfortunate, dirty, sad, or something that people need to put a distance between themselves. Because everywhere you are, somebody is suffering from homelessness or having a lack of food, or maybe they live in a food desert.
And the arts have a way of speaking to us in a way that we sometimes don't seem to connect in another way. So the beauty of each portrait, I think, speaks to the beauty of each individual in much the same way that music or theater, we're able to experience things.
I believe that art can do a number of things. It interprets what's going on in the culture. It can speak to it. It can reflect what's going on in the culture. It can touch someone's heart. They see something in a painting that gives rise to emotions, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but it touches them in some way. So I think art is absolutely a necessary thing.
Everything about it to me speaks to what we're here to do, and build community one person at a time, treating each individual with dignity and respect. And I think the highlight of this show for me was having our neighbors come and experience themselves in this way, and to see how excited they were to be able to share their story in a way that was inspiring, and that inspired, overcoming the obstacles.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Oh, thank you.
One of the subjects came in earlier today, before the show, and he came into the door, and I said his name. I said, I said his name, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, come here. And I showed him the painting, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, wow. And when the subject is able to see themselves and be blown away and astounded, and like, I am that, that is me. That is a direct line between reality and reality. And again, that's what Laura Hunt has done with the show. She's not masking or hiding or softening the subject. She's saying, this is just part of these beautiful people's lives. And that's what it is.
He got to come and we presented him with his portrait, and like, it just made me love his portrait even more. He was so amazing, so great, but he was so excited. Like, it just really brought that one to life for me.
That is so interesting.
I loved him.
Well, it is too, because before I got here, I really thought Calvin was the one I wanted visually, but I felt like I really wanted to connect with the portrait and the story. And when Ahmad walked in and I saw him, and he was so thrilled to be part of this, and I was just wanted to connect to that, and so that was the portrait I purchased.
I hope that people will look at the portraits and read the stories about each individual and find some kind of connection with that person. You know, maybe if someone's favorite food is tacos and they say, well, that's my favorite food too. They just make some kind of a connection with the people who posed for the pictures.
The hope is that students come in and understand that they belong amongst art like this, amongst contemporary art, amongst contemporary artists, and that they can take away the idea that, oh, I can create something like that. I belong in this world.
I hope that it sparks conversation. I hope that people understand and read their stories. There's a story, the person's story goes along with each piece. So you can kind of learn about who people are that Laura interviewed and interacted with and then ultimately painted. I mean, I hope it touches their heart and they understand that, oh, these are people in our community. The majority of people are housed and are no longer homeless. And so I think that alone is hopeful, that, you know, you have 26 people who experienced homelessness at some point in their life and now are no longer experiencing that. And you would never know that. I hope that it raises some money for the Homeless Coalition. It is a fundraiser, so you know, I have to definitely say that, and I hope that people engage with the pieces, know that the pieces are for sale, and you can purchase those to have, you know, a piece of the collection. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, I really hope that people walk away and feel the emotion that Laura felt when she was painting. And really just relate to people and see that, you know, these are people like everyone else is.
One of the things that came up many times was in answer to the question, what is your gift or talent? So many of them said, my gift is helping people. And that really struck me as very moving. That no matter what circumstances they were in, helping other people was important to them, and I think it gave them a sense of purpose as well.